I'm trying to win the Premier League with every single team. 20 clubs for the next 20 days. And previously, we took Brighton to their first ever Premier League title. But today, we'll be taking over Man City to try and win them the Premier League. And when you take a look at this Man City team, you think this is going to be so easy and it's super boring. But that's where you're wrong. And that is because in this save, the City Chargers went through and they have been relegated to the Championship. But not only that, because they relegated, the best players at Man City have all left the club, leaving us with just this team. We have a 55 rated Scott Carson as our starting keeper and the only keeper at the club. And you know things aren't good when Mateus Nunes is the highest rated. But surely with 50 million in the transfer budget, we'll be able to rebuild City and win them the Premier League. However, there are some rules we need to follow. There are only 3 rules I must follow with every club. I absolutely cannot change any of the team's tactics. So today with Man City, we have a 4-3-3 holding, meaning we need some very good attackers if we want to win the Premier League. Rule number 2 is I can only make one unrealistic signing. So for example, if I wanted to bring in Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United when we could afford him, we can only make an unrealistic transfer like this just once per club. And lastly, the final rule is every other transfer in and out has to be realistic. So for example, someone like Mark Guéhi, who is playing for an old City rival, now that we're in the Championship and he doesn't get any game time at his home parent club, this would be a realistic signing, and it's going to be the first signing I'm making with Man City. However, there is specific transfer rules I have to follow in this video. I'll tell you in just a second. Maybe you can guess. So for 14.8 million, we have signed the young ex-Barcelona striker Mark Guéhi. And like I said before, I think this is pretty realistic considering we're playing in the Championship. But when it comes to realism, not only in the purchases, but also in the selling department. But just remember, even though Guéhi's a good signing and we can keep up for the rest of this challenge, in terms of realism, if a team like Barcelona or Real Madrid come calling for Mark Guéhi next season, we obviously have to sell him because we would just hopefully promote to the Premier League. But that isn't the only reason why Mark Guéhi isn't safe. Every time I fail to win the league, no matter what club I'm managing, I will be forced to spin a wheel filled with my first 11, and whoever it lands on, I will have to release from the team, and I cannot re-sign them. So because we are in the Championship this season, a player from our starting 11 by the end of the season will leave for absolutely free. But as Mark Guéhi was our first signing, we now have 31 million to kick off this journey now winning Man City the Premier League. But now taking a look at the side with the addition of Mark Guéhi, it actually does not look too bad, obviously other than Scott Carson. This team looks like a team that could go straight back up into the Premier League, but obviously we still have some time to improve some players. Thankfully, the likes of Rico Lewis and Kusanov have decided to stay at the club, which helps us greatly. However, before we get into the transfers and the transfer rule, I think I want to invest in the youth academy because we are in the Championship and we're probably going to need a lot of youngsters to help us out this time around. And of course, as per usual, we'll be sending Horton to England. And considering the transfer rule we do have, which I will review in just a second, I think we should go ahead and go for center mid, we should go for some wingers, and we should probably go for some center backs, and you will see why in just a little bit. And here are the 2 positions that I do want to sign. So the goalkeeping target is Carl Hein, who is playing for Arsenal. He's a good young goalkeeper. Our replacement for Calvin Phillips will probably be Lennon Miller if we can strike a deal, because City had charges and had legal battle after legal battle. For the rest of this challenge, I could never sign a player over the overall of 86. So even when we get back to the Premier League and finish in top 4 and we have hundreds of millions of dollars, we would never be able to sign the likes of Kylian Mbappe. And also in terms of realism, for this season, we cannot sign anyone above 75 and can only sign 3 players per season. And here are the next 2 players and the final 2 players I'm going to sign. And so for 6 million, we are making our second signing, our second to last signing as well. Carl Hein from Arsenal. He has some decent potential, and I think Championship football is perfectly where he needs to play. And he can easily grow here at this club to eventually help us win the Premier League, as long as we don't lose him along the way to huge transfers or to the wheel. And for only 17 million, we have signed the young Scottish midfielder in Lennon Miller to join the side. I think he is a great midfielder and can be here for a very long time and even captain material as long as we keep him that long. And I think those 3 signings we just made, Guéhi, Miller, and Hein, are incredible signings that can help us take us back to the Premier League. And now with all the brand new signings in the lineup, our team is looking so much better. And as we're about to sip to the end of the season to see how City do, just a heads up, I will be loaning out these 3 players and selling Calvin Phillips because he just doesn't belong here at this club. So we have reached the end of the season, and for some reason, I cannot see the league table. This game is absolutely broken, but I figured out where we finished. It turns out we made it somewhere in the playoff position and lost in the final to Southampton. We're staying in the Championship. This is much harder than I thought it was gonna be. However, there is some good news because in the team of the season, we had 2 players, Enrico Lewis and Kuzanov. But it worries me that we do not have an attacker. We should have been promoting easily back to the Prem. And when you look at this team is a mid-table team in the Premier League. How did they not promote? I guess we're staying in the championship another year. And here are the stats for the season. Mark Uwe did his job. 21 goals in 47 appearances. Even Lennon Miller got 15 and 6, 8 and 2 for James McAtee, and 6 and 13 for Mateus Nunes. While the rest of the players had a very decent seasons. What happened? However, there is something that worries me. This season, we didn't get any offers from big clubs, meaning we kept the majority of our players. However, the likes of Nunes, Lewis, and Kuzanov now at an 80 overall. Surely the big teams are going to start coming in for our players, meaning we can easily just stay in the championship because our players are getting sold. But that isn't the only thing I'm worried about. Of course, we're not in the Premier League. We haven't won the Premier League, so it's time to spin the wheel. But I'm just really hoping the wheel doesn't help us get rid of somebody huge, one of our main players, and Kuzanov. That is the one player I did not want to get rid of. Him, Enrico Lewis. Kuzanov is getting released from the club. I cannot believe this is happening. Probably our best wonder kid in the side. He just signed for City. He is leaving us, man. I cannot believe this. However, as Kuzanov leaves the door open, somebody else walks in, and that player might just be Peter Jackson. We have found a wonder kid center back with 89 potential, 72 overall. But not only him, Stanley Rhodes and Zachary Shaw are some good young talents that will help us eventually win the Premier League. And make sure to watch the entire series because we're gonna find out who is the best Premier League team. And season number 2 is kicking off, and this is what the team is looking like. And I have made the bold decision of starting Peter Jackson, the brand new wonder kid, into our side. In terms of signing, depending on how much money we do have, I definitely want to sign a backup goalkeeper because Hein is literally the only goalkeeper at the side. As Scott Carson retired. And in terms of that, definitely a backup center mid because we haven't lost currently one of our midfielders, and we only have one CDM and one center midfielder in the bench, so another one would be cool. And maybe a backup left winger. We do have Echeverri, Oscar Bob, and McAtee as the only wingers. We do have Shaw and Rhodes, but I'd rather send them out on loan and just sign another player for the bench. But we only have 33 million to spend on those 3 players. Who can we find for such a cheap price? And of course, because we're still in the championship, the cap is still 75 overall or under. And now for the first signing, I had to take in a huge risk in signing Alex Scott for 10 million. Plus our best player, Mateus Nunes. Instead of selling Mateus Nunes, I would love to use him in a swap deal. And of course, this is somewhat realistic. Bournemouth would take Mateus Nunes, especially if he's higher rated than Alex Scott. But Alex Scott is taking a dip down, but he probably believes in the Man City project. But just in case it's unrealistic, I'm not going to be making an unrealistic signing probably for the rest of the challenge. Just in case it was this one. And our second signing is the backup goalkeeper we needed, and it is Fran Gonzalez, probably like the 6th choice goalkeeper at Real Madrid. He is a youngster. He's got some decent potential. He is obviously going to get way more game time here than he ever would at Real Madrid, especially because we're in the championship. I hope he would be a great backup for Carl Hein. And our third and final signing is Tom Watson from Sunderland for 3.5 million plus one of our extra center backs in Mbete. He's going to be a great backup winger for Echeverri. And just a heads up, we'll be sending our scout this season to Spain because City have had a lot of Spanish players. And because we're sending them to Spain, we're getting midfielders and center backs because Spain produced some great ones. And as the new signees join the side, it's time to see if we have to sell any players and obviously loan out the players we want. And we have reached the deadline, and luckily we did not have to get rid of anybody. No big offers, all just loans. That means we're keeping our lineup for this championship season. But surely this team is good enough to promote back to the Premier League, right? And our second season in the championship has come to an end. This time, surely there is no way we stay in the championship for another season. Give us a league title while we're at it as well. And we have promoted, but did we win the league title? No. We actually tied in points with Burnley, but lost on goal difference. At least we're going back to the Prem. Finally, it took forever. And as Burnley win the title, Ollie Watkins wins the player of the season with Leicester City. This is a crazy story right now going on. Team of the season, there's a lot of City players. This is exactly what we wanted. Miller, Scott, McAtee, Doyle, Peter Jackson, and Rico Lewis. But also, you can tell our team is cooking when we have 2 top goal scorers, and one of them was a center midfielder. However, Ollie Watkins, 34 and 41, was just too ridiculous. This team was ready for the Premier League last year, and just look at them. Most of them already at an 80 overall. Surely next year, we're in no danger of relegation and could even compete for some Europa League spots with this team. And 25 and 43 for Mark Uwe, 20 and 9 for Leo Miller, and the rest of these players, especially Alex Scott, who we took a risk, and it definitely paid off. Now at an 83 with 8 and 17. this team was way too good for the championship. However, of course, no Premier League win means somebody is getting released. And I'm just really hoping it's not Peter Jackson at this point. I want to maintain a Youth Academy graduate, and no, Leon Miller, literally our second best player. He was a second top goal scorer from the center mid position. He is leaving on a free. One of our first signings, I'm not gonna lie, this hurts, but it could have been worse. We could have lost our goalkeeper or Peter Jackson, a huge prospect from our academy. Leon Miller is leaving the club for free. However, there is some good news because we got a lot of Youth Academy talents. This is incredibly going to increase our squad depth. Players like Miguel Alvarez, Agustin Marchante, Cristobal Aguilar, Cristobal Simo, and Felix Villar. A lot of players in different positions. That means if we sell players, it won't hurt as much in the future. Because as you can see in the top right, we only had 26 players this season. If you guys have enjoyed this video so far, make sure to subscribe. We're so close to 200K. And we've arrived in Season 3, our first season in the Premier League. And this squad, to be honest, is looking pretty strong. I just think we need a center mid for this side. As for the rest of the positions, I don't think we need any backups or absolutely anybody because we have a lot of Youth Academy players and a lot of players who went out on loan last season. The only thing I'm hoping for is that we don't lose absolutely anybody because now that we're in the Prem, there's gonna be a lot of clubs interested in all of our players. We do have 74 million and the brand new overall cap is 80 overall. But before I sign anybody, I think I'm gonna go ahead and sim to the deadline of selling players because I don't want to waste my 3 signings if we lose a bunch of players because it can easily happen now that we're in the Prem. But we have discovered another issue. I was trying to give Echeverri a new contract, but he doesn't want one. We don't win the Premier League this season, which we probably won't. Not only will we lose a player to the wheel, but we will also probably lose Echeverri on a free unless I do a swap deal this season. And boys, it has begun. We have gotten 2 offers of players we're probably gonna have to go ahead and sell. The first one is Mark Uwe from Borussia Dortmund. City is a big club, but Dortmund are playing UCL football right now, and I don't think Uwe wouldn't say no to this offer. I'm still gonna go ahead and try to get a little bit of money just to raise funds for the club, I guess. However, the second one isn't gonna hurt us as much. He rejected a move to PSG. Real Madrid have come calling for Simpson. I'm not saying that second name. His parents must hate him to call him that, but there is no chance he is saying no to Real Madrid. The good thing is he was never started. He went out on loan last season. Okay, boys, it turns out we have lucked out. So before I accepted the Real Madrid offer, there was an Everton loan offer. I was going to send him out on loan anyways, and he decided to go out on loan, so he wants to stay at the club. However, Mark Uwe, I had a second offer accepted from Barcelona instead, and he chose to go back to his home club. So technically, we only lost 1 player while everybody else went out on loan. And thankfully, because of that stroke of luck, we now have 135 million, and we have to replace Mark Uwe and still the center mid that we lost because Mubamba and O'Reilly are not good enough, and we still have the Echeverri situation to deal with. And the first signing we have made is 80 overall, Ezequiel Ceballos. Yes, we have signed another left winger because one of the next signings that we do have, we did get a swap deal accepted, but it wasn't for Ceballos. We spent 40 million on this guy. Hopefully, he can replace Echeverri. He's Argentinian. He is a winger. Let's see if he can do the same what Echeverri has done for us. And up next is the replacement for Mark Uwe. 3.5 million plus Claudio Echeverri. We have signed the now Nigerian international. Forgive me if I said this incorrectly. The guy from AS Monaco, George Iuke Haina. I think he is a perfect player to join us here to replace Mark Uwe. I just hope he can score at least half the goals that Uwe scored for us in the championship. And our third and final signing is the perfect player to replace Leon Miller, and that is Nico Paz, ex-Real Madrid graduate. We had to snap him up before a big club did, and somehow he's still only at 80 overall, still at Como. We will take that. The Argentinian is now joining our side. He's gonna be that incredible playmaker that we do need. And this is the brand new starting 11. A lot of new players. I just hope that they can get chemistry quick enough to obviously survive relegation, but I think we will do so much better than that. Let's see how they do in the first season back in the Prem. However, I was very wrong about this season. We just survived relegation by a single point. Man, did I really overrate my squad that much? And I'm not even gonna check for team of the season. I don't understand. This team is incredible. How did we barely survive relegation? Literally nobody in this entire squad who didn't go out on loan is below 70. There has to be an injury or something. And here are the stats for this season. George Alcahaina had a decent season. I mean, it was his first season in the Prem. 13 goals in the Premier League, 16 in total, 15 and 5%. I think he was a pretty good replacement for Echeverri. They all got involved. I don't understand. Maybe we just didn't win games when it mattered. But it's time to spin the wheel because we are far off from winning the Premier League. There is so many players we can lose here. Just don't lose somebody who isn't replaceable. James McAtee. He's been pretty good. He even benched Oscar Bob. This is kind of a hurtful loss here. James McAtee will leave the side now at 25 years old. He was a decent little winger. He was very consistent, but it seems like now he's gone and maybe Oscar Bob will take his place. But at least our youth academy keeps producing talents. Lucas Segura, a brand new left back, but at least our youth academy keep bringing us talents, man. This time from Argentina, Lucas Segura, a left back. We're signing him up to the senior team. And also Rafa Sepulveda, an Argentinian striker, maybe a Sergio Aguero regen. I just hope he can be half the player that Aguero was. And now it's season 4. This is what the starting 11 is looking like, with Oscar Bob probably taking McAtee's place if we don't sign anybody. And we do have 79 million in the transfer budget, but once again, I'm gonna wait to see if we sell anybody. We do not want to make any mistakes if we just survive relegation. And as we hit the deadline, we only lost one player, but yet again, it's a striker. 80 million to Barcelona. There is no chance he was saying no to that. Who can we sign to replace him? With 159 million to spend, and the new rating highest we can sign is 81. There isn't a lot of options left, and we could still use a replacement for Oscar Bob and maybe even a center back, because Victor Reis isn't growing fast enough. And the first signing I'm making is a right winger, but it's not a replacement. It's a backup for Oscar Bob. I'm putting my faith in Oscar Bob in hopes that he could become a superstar here for us at Manchester City. We are signing Estanis, an ex-Barcelona Academy graduate, for 30 million. I think he's gonna be a great backup and maybe could even be better than Oscar Bob, but I'm starting Oscar Bob. That is my decision. And for my second signing, I am bringing a starting center back over Victor Reis, and I'm bringing back Eric Garcia, a man who used to play for Barca, who is currently at Palace. We have signed him for 22 million plus one of our backup center backs in Finley Burns. I think this is a great signing because he is an 81 overall. And for our final signing to replace El Cajaino, we have signed Ike Bravo, a former Real Madrid Academy graduate. You can tell the kind of a theme is going. We're signing for players who come from great academies as we sign him for 38 million. I think he might be the striker that takes us above mid-table. And this is the brand new squad. We have to finish above mid-table this year. We're already in season 4. Let's see how they do. And we've arrived at the end of the season, and not being in the bottom 13 is already incredible news. I'm assuming we finish in the top 10. Let's see where we finish. Okay, we're in the top 10. We are in the top 7. We're in the top 5. How are we going from 17th to the top 5 of the Premier League? Top 4. Top 3, we finished in 3rd place. Only missed out by 1 point to finish in 2nd. Brighton finished in 2nd of all teams. Oh my days, what a turnaround for Man City. As Liverpool win the Premier League title, Isaac picks up the player of the season, and we got a team of the season inclusion and Nico Paz. But also, Finley Burns, the man we traded for Eric Garcia, actually made it to the team of the season as well. Maybe we should have kept them. And this team is looking great. Oscar Bob went from a 77 to an 82. That is incredible. Ike Bravo went up a +2, but everybody else has been growing consistently. And even the bench, everybody here is getting game time. And Ike Bravo did his job, outscored El Cajaino by 1 goal last season, but that's an improvement. Ceballos, again, another great season, 17-1. Even our backup striker, David Mubamba, is doing well, but everybody else wasn't involved. Alex Scott with 10 assists, Nico Paz with 15 assists. It seems like it was a good season for everybody. But of course, finishing in 3rd place means we lose another player. But it's time to find out who will be leaving and getting released and leaving on a free, and it's going to be Eric Garcia. We literally just signed him, fam. It could have been worse, though. We will take that, I guess. And we are letting go of Eric Garcia, 1 year of returning, and now he's gone already. However, keeping Jamai Simpson was crucial as he is now an 83. The perfect replacement for Eric Garcia. We don't have to sign anybody if we don't want to. And more good news as we have some more talents in Reece Hobson, Jude Wheeler, Aaron Coles, and Harrison Whitehouse. Just adding to the list. These players might not even get to play because we might win the Premier League next season. And now in season number 5, this is what the squad is looking like. I'm not lying. This is a squad that can take us to the Premier League title this season or next season because they still have some space to grow. I'm not sure who I'm going to buy just yet, but as per usual, we now finish in 3rd place, so the clubs that could come in and take our players are very, very small. But if the likes of Liverpool, Madrid, Barca, Bayern Munich come calling, we might have to sell any of these players. Let's see who we sell before we purchase, if we purchase anybody. And this year, the biggest clubs in the world did not come calling, so we get to keep our whole entire team. And we do have 157 million, and we have an amazing squad. However, I have an idea for one signing this season. And that signing is coming back to Man City for 40 million plus our backup striker. We are bringing in Liam Delap. I know we have Ike Bravo, but I would like to have 2 world-class strikers to help us win the Premier League title this season. I want it this year. And Liam Delap joins the starting 11 where he will compete with Ike Bravo. Is this the year that we win the Premier League trophy? And we've reached the end of season 5. Did we win the Premier League title for playing in the championship? are we gonna be Premier League winners? This is only our third season, I believe, in the Premier League. We are in the top 4 once again. Did we finish in 3rd place again? No, we didn't. We either finished in 2nd or are Premier League winners, and we won the Premier League. Brighton finished in 2nd, but we won it by 10 whole points. And as we are Premier League winners, Liam Delap gets player of the season. I knew I made the right transfer, as the team of the season involves Rico Lewis, Liam Delap, and our goalkeeper, our loyal man, Hein. And this side is absolutely incredible, and they can still grow if we needed to continue. But Peter Jackson, shout out to this man, came in when we lost Kuzanov and is now our best player. And if it wasn't for Rico Lewis, he'd be our captain. 49 goals and 59 appearances, deserved player of the season. He's the reason we won the Premier League. But the rest of our players did absolutely amazing. 18 and 5, 12 and 8 from Alex Scott, 8 and 14 from Nico Paz. And here are the rest of the stats. This team was just incredible. And because City won the Premier League with 85 points, they now sit in 2nd, tied with Brighton. But they're above them because they won by a bigger margin. We have taken Man City from the Championship to Premier League winners. Who's next? And if you guys enjoyed this video, go check out how we won the Premier League with Brighton. Click on the screen.